Today we're going to dive into the basics of seed sowing and transplanting seedlings. That period from germination until you actually are able to transplant your plant starts into your garden. That is what I do for a living. That is what Renata's Garden circles around, is plant starts in the spring and summer. And so I thought I'd pass on some of the basics, some of my wisdom gained from the last 14 years of my experience doing this very process. So without further ado, let's dive into seed sowing. First, you want to decide what plastics or compostable containers or terracotta pots that you are sowing your seeds into. The reason I don't recommend sowing into too big a volume of a container or too big a volume of a cell is because if the seedlings are really little when they first germinate, and if they aren't able to start utilizing that water and cycling through wet to dry cycles very quickly, you're going to deal with things like algae and fungus gnats and mold issues, bacterial issues, damping off, which is where the seedling dies pretty immediately after it germinates. Those are things that start to happen if your seedling's not able to dry down periodically from the get-go. So using too large a container, starting into maybe the finished container, is not always the best idea. Now, it works really well for things like cucumbers and squash and things that have a really fast growth rate and use a lot of water. But things like tomatoes and peppers and herbs, it's better to start smaller with smaller cells of trays. Today I am sowing marigolds and gomphrena, or globe amaranth, and I actually sow these into their finished packs for production because they are such fast growing plants that I don't have to worry about the water cycling. After you got your plastic selected, it's important to know what kind of medium you are going to be sowing your seeds into. Because I'm sowing directly into a finished container, and I know that the seeds aren't super tiny with my marigolds and my gomphrena, I'm sowing directly into a general purpose potting mix, but you can also get some germination soil. The main difference between the two is that germination mix is going to be smaller particled, and it's not going to let seeds sink into it, and it's going to have a different reaction and different moisture retention. So seed starting mix is usually what I sow everything else into, unless I'm sowing directly into the finished container. It's also really important, if your potting mix or your germination mix has been sitting on a shelf for a while, that you make sure that it is not super dried out. You want to see some clumping and you want to feel some moisture in your hands in it. I always add some water back into it if it's been sitting for a little bit to make sure that it's mixed in and that that medium is capable of taking in moisture. Peat-based potting mediums, which is largely what we use in the greenhouse world still to this day, is extremely hydrophobic, which means that it can slough off water. If it gets so dry, it's let to get bone dry, that it doesn't have any moisture particles in it, then it starts to repel it. So that can be really bad for seed starting or even transplanting for plants that need that moisture retention. So just make sure if it's been sitting that you add some moisture back in, either with a misting bottle or a quick watering down with a watering can, and then mix it in to make sure you got that moisture present in your potting medium. Next up, you're going to fill your trays. When you are filling your trays or your pots that you're going to sow into, it is extremely important that you do not compact the potting mix. I preach this all the time because it is so important. When you pack your potting mix, it inhibits root development because you don't have that pore space, and it's really hard for roots to tap compacted soil. If you are a Kamsan, then you know that our clay soils make it hard to develop good roots on some of our plants. So it's really important with seedlings that have gentle, small, tiny, fibrous roots that you don't pack the potting mix so that you ensure good root development. So you're just going to dump some potting mix into your trays and kind of shuffle it in, and then level it off with a scoop or gently with your hand. The next step is to water in your trays. And the reason you water in your potting medium before you sow your seeds is because water has a tendency of moving things and carrying things where they're not supposed to be. So make sure you water in your trays first to make sure your seeds aren't carried down deeper into the container, which can mess with germination times, can even cause your seeds to rot before they can germinate. It can also splash the seeds completely out of the trays, and you're staring at your trays for weeks being like, why won't they germinate? Well, it's because you watered in your trays after you sowed your seeds. So anyways, it's really important you water in your trays before you sow your seeds. Then you're going to gather your seeds and sow your seeds. There are a few tools I use when I am sowing seeds. Number one, I use a Pyrex dish or a Tupperware container to empty seeds out of their seed packets into this dish so that I can easily grab them and sow. If I sow out of my palm, sometimes my palm gets sweaty. And then if I don't sow all the seeds out of my palm, but my palm got sweaty, it got those seeds all wet, which can actually cause them to not be viable for future years. So use a dish to sow out of. I also have in my hand here a dibbler. And a dibbler is just a tool that is used to dibble. And dibbling is the process by creating a little divot or a hole in the potting medium to sow your seeds into. Now, it's really important that you do your research before you sow your seeds, because if you don't have experience with a certain species, they may require different things for germination. Now, most of the time seeds like light, warmth, and moisture to germinate, but some seeds are picky and they need darkness to germinate. Maybe they need a cool treatment, a period of weeks where they're spent in a wet, cold condition. That's called stratification. Sometimes they need scarification, which is where you file the seed coat or you clip the seed coat so that the seed can germinate. There's all kinds of things that seeds can require by species. So if you don't have experience germinating them, make sure you research them in substantiated areas like books and .org and .edu websites, specifically extension sites, because they are there for your use. All right, so dibbler. I'm not using this today because I'm sowing marigolds and globe amaranth, and I sow those on the surface of the soil. But I do use a thick top dressing of vermiculite. Vermiculite is something that sometimes, it's a component that sometimes is added into the potting mix, but not all the time anymore. It's super moisture retentive, and the reason I use a thick coat of it when I am sowing marigolds is because we are in warmer season times, and the surface of the potting mix tends to dry out a little bit faster in my greenhouse this time of year, and the vermiculite keeps that thick coat of moisture over the seeds to prevent them from drying out in that period between when I sow them and when I see that first active growth, because that is that window, that time frame that is extremely important. It is paramount. I cannot stress this enough, that the seeds are kept in a moist environment, because if you allow them to dry out in that period before you see active growth, sometimes the seedlings abort, they don't germinate at all. Sometimes it just slows down their germination. It can make it spotty. So it's really important that you keep your seedlings moist in that period between when you sow them, which I am doing today, and the period when you see active growth. So vermiculite helps me on this journey with me being a very busy business owner, but it helps other people too that have lives and jobs. So you might consider investing in a bag of vermiculite to help you keep those seeds moist throughout the day while you're not there to constantly spray and mist them. Then it is extremely important that you label the varieties that you've sown so you know what's what. Now, sometimes you can also use clear plastic domes aside from vermiculite to help retain moisture in your seedlings containers or cells as they do that germination process. Just remember, as soon as you start to see consistent active germination, that you remove those domes so you can start to allow those active dry down processes within the seedlings to develop those roots. We are now going to transplant. I'm going to walk you through transplanting seedlings. I have a whole slew of tomatoes as well as herbs to go ahead. They're mature enough and ready to transplant. I am prepping the plastics similarly to how I did with my sowing process, and this is completely up to you what materials you use. I recycle plastics every year. I like them because of that. You can't do that with the compostable pots, but as a home grower, it's your prerogative. You can choose what you sow into for this stage of your production. But I am getting these trays ready to go, and I'm going to fill them with general purpose potting mix behind me. And unlike sowing seeds, I'm not going to water them in before I transplant my seedlings. I have a lot to go yet. I think I have 35, so better get cracking. So just like with seedlings, it's really important that you have labels on the ready. So I've got my Super Sweet 100 labels here, and those are the first tomatoes I'm going to transplant of the season. Now it is time for the dibbler. Sometimes your seedlings are in a small enough cell that they'll have rooted out really well that you can just pluck them out of their container like so. And this one's got really nice white healthy roots, which I'm really excited about. Actually, there is 2 in this. So if that happens, you can just gently tug those apart. Ba-doop-ba-doop, like that. And I'm just going to set that to the side. And so I have 1 seedling here. I'm going to take my dibbler, or you can also take your finger. I like to use my pinky because I go really fast at this. And I'm just going to create a little spot. I'm going to stuff that tomato down there in there. Just like when you plant tomatoes in the garden, you need to plant them deep to help get them going on their root system. I do the same thing in transplant. Now, notice I did not pack in around the potting mix. I just made sure that their little seed leaves were level with the level of the potting mix, and then it should be nice and loose and porous in there so that those roots can really start to tap and develop in that container. And I'm just going to systematically go through and transplant these super sweets. If their seeds haven't developed, that's why I like using the spatula bit, because you can just go ahead and go in and scoop out your seedlings like so, and that works really well as well if you're worried about popping off, accidentally ripping off the top of the seedling. And just like that, I've got 2 trays of transplanted Super Sweet 100 cherries ready to go, and before I know it, I'm going to blink and these tomatoes are going to be like trees in the greenhouse. It's just the way tomatoes are. Now, no matter what species you're transplanting, the stage at which you transplant is important to get right. You don't want them to be too little because you want them to be developed enough to be able to withstand the shock of transplant, even though I don't consider it all that shocking for most seedlings. But I usually say a good rule of thumb is when the plant has 2 true leaves that are showing on the plant, then you usually know, okay, they're probably good to transplant. Seedlings are tougher than you think. Really, I guess I'm numb to it because I've produced so many, but you can really bang them around and they're going to be fine. So don't sweat it. Don't overprotect your seedlings. The tougher you are with them now, the healthier they're going to be later. As long as you're not completely chopping off the seedling from the root zone, you're probably going to be fine with the transplanting phase. After I'm done transplanting, I go through and I fertilize them in with water mixed with some fertilizer. Up until this point, I've been really giving them a light dose of fertilizer, like a quarter rate of recommended, just to give them something, because remember, when seeds germinate, they only have enough nutrients stored in that seed to really push them through the process of putting out their seed leaves. Then their seed leaves, the cotyledons, start to really do the job of bringing in photosynthesis and starting to build sugar. But in order to do the rest of the process, it's important you start to fertilize as soon as you start to see those seed leaves pop out. Honestly, you could start to fertilize as soon as you see any active growth at all. But I use a very dilute concentration when I'm fertilizing seedlings. Once I put them up into their bigger containers, I start to bump up the fertilizer just to get them really starting to develop those good root zones. It is important to remember not to over fertilize, especially your garden plants, because it does help tomatoes actually. I've noticed this, for them to be a little bit nutrient deficient, a little peaked at transplant into the garden. So I'm always a little bit chintzy, especially with the tomatoes, to help control their growth in their containers until I'm ready to transplant them out into the garden. All right, I think I've given you everything that I can think of as far as basics go with both sowing seeds and transplanting seedlings. But if you have any questions, as always, you can drop them in the comments below. And I hope you enjoy starting your garden this season. You've been watching Unearthed Horticulture. And I've got like 30+ trays of tomatoes to transplant.